Well, I have somebody's testicles that need to be menstruated. When I was in Palo Alto, California, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Belo Horizonte, Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, I went on a hang glider off of the side of a mountain. It was a top of a low mountain, like not a hill, but it was up high. There's a statue of Jesus in that area with his arms extended to either side of himself. I could see that statue from where I was jumping, roughly. It was in that area. Um, Corcovado, okay. Ipanema is around there, the beach, Ipanema Beach. Um, there's a male I jumped with, and I need to menstruate his testicles before I jump off the mountain because he was completely wrong in the testicles. I am myself not due in a testicles problem because the testicles alive everybody who's not myself. After myself, not before. There's no testicles that are alive before myself. So I don't have what it takes to menstruate somebody's testicles. I'm not in the money that way. But somebody needed to menstruate his testicles before I jumped off the mountain because I jumped and lost my virginity and the money. But I don't know how that was in dispute because I don't have testicles myself. That's what's wrong with it. You can't have virginity and testicles. It's menstruate the testicles. They are illegally alive. And when I'm done, I moved all of creation around myself, but I never got any money for what I was doing for myself. Everything was do things for God and wait for God to give me a death and wait for God to give me the money after I die. It would be like that it's deceased there, and that I would see God when I die. I would see the money there. What's wrong with it is he's moving banking, and there's really no reason to work when they're moving the banking because they look at the money, they count it, they spread it around, and they spend it on themselves, is what's wrong with it. I can't stop them from spending the money. Bruce Wynn, you spend so much money, I can't help you. His last name is Wynn, like the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas. And I can't help it that he spent so much money on himself. I just don't know how you did it because I have so much hardship in my life. I was wondering if you could just help me by taking one of my parents off my hands so that I wouldn't cry to death, that I could never call you for help for myself. That's what's wrong with Robin being a friend to myself. She has Bruce Wynn is not friendly. That's how she's really nice, is not due. She's due to be not nice and not at school. Instead, she's nice and she's at school, and she has Bruce Wynn, who's spending enormous amounts of money on travel twice a year, spring break and winter break. And then I don't know what Robin does in the summer. She didn't really say, except that she goes to a camp, and that's also expensive. I can't afford that. She didn't go to camp and stay there because it was going to prison. I need Robin Wynn going to Auschwitz from her Birch Trail camp, and I need my dog Misty to go to Birch Trail and stay there. Misty goes outside and comes back on a dog run is not due. Is that how Robin goes to a camp called Birch Trail? Because this dog didn't allow Robin to go to camp and stay in prison. She should go from camp and it should die and it should become Germany and she'd be in prison there. And she's not due there right now. She's not due in Deutschland, because I can see it. She's not allowed to be there, but she went on March of the Living and she came back. And that's her wanting to be in the prison. I understand that she wants to be in the prison, but she doesn't know how to get in there. She didn't give me her keys and help me with that. I needed banking and I needed food. So back to menstruate the testicles of Bruce Wynn. Yes, I need to menstruate the testicles of Bruce Wynn because he's illegal in the testicles. Hans Moser is not Moser. He's Hans, Hahns, and he keeps using the initials HGM, and he's not Hans, he's Hahns, and he doesn't spell his name out for me that way, even though it doesn't look exactly like it's written and sound the same. They aren't the same. Hans would be like Hans, and Hahns is Hans. And he doesn't say that there's something wrong with the spelling of his name and that he's an illegal alive shunt. He keeps using his birthday and claims all the shunts are himself. And he died that way. He needs his testicles menstruated in a prison because he's not a Moser. And I need Donna's testicles menstruated, and she doesn't have testicles, but she shunned herself so much that she had testicles in the karma. And then I need to menstruate the testicles of Joellen Myroff, who's also doesn't have testicles. She's a female, and she needs her breasts menstruated, but I can't do that because I have breasts myself, and I can't use that she has breasts. I just think it's homosexually charged, and her breasts need to be amputated. But that's what's wrong with her. She doesn't know how to do these things for herself. She'd be in a Walden prison upstate, and I wouldn't know who she is anymore or where she is anymore. She wouldn't be on my mind anymore. She wouldn't be in society anymore. She'd be in a prison, and that's where she can get her breasts removed. You can't have breast cancer and get the breasts removed and go back into public. That's against Joellen, and I don't agree with it. It's against myself because I had a mammogram myself, and there's no need to amputate the breasts with a mammogram. They're amputated in karma, so they don't give me another mammogram. And it's true, I don't have one coming anymore. I'm just ceased out of the mammogram. But I need Joellen Myroff breasts removed as though they've been menstruated right off her. She did menstruate, she told me, but she's going to the breast removal because she's elsewhere was a 4-year-old who didn't have any breast tissue, and she doesn't afford it, and she didn't get it removed. And she's not the true female. I am the female. I don't. There are other females that are alive after myself, but I don't need them. They're due in prison because they're not myself, the female Godhead. And then I also need that of Donna. And then Rose Kaleko had her breasts amputated, but she lived in an apartment, and she's due to have her breasts amputated, and that she would stay in a prison. And she doesn't know how to be in a prison. I can see she mentally doesn't know what it is to be in a prison because she's always gluttoning and praising God that she's, okay. But she cries sometimes, and I didn't like that she was crying in the apartment. I don't know if I caught her crying like an STD, but I did catch crying. And I don't afford that I ever cried because I'm right here gonna die because I cried somewhere and couldn't stop myself. And I don't want that problem. I do hear my God does connect with me on that matter, where elsewhere he was silent that I was crying, and he wouldn't explain to me why the crying was involuntarily going on with accompaniment of thought as to explaining as to why the crying was going on. And I didn't really believe that the thought and the crying went together. I thought I had undesirable thought, and I had crying was undesirable, and I didn't trust that the two of them were going together in one explanation of the other and the other explaining the other, and it didn't make sense to me. So back to menstruate the testicles. Mitch Moser needs his testicles menstruated, so he's not Moser anymore. And he's really not Mitch that way, so he goes into a prison and stays up in upstate Wisconsin to get his testicles menstruated. I don't know him anymore, and then he wouldn't have so much karma, which he doesn't mind because he enjoyed himself. I should have enjoyed myself, and I shouldn't have minded that Mitch was in an upstate penitentiary, and why would I know that, and why would I worry about it, and why would I look for him? Why would I need keys from him? I wouldn't need anything from him. It's due that he was elsewhere. Scott Altman needs testicles menstruated because he's just shunning, and that's not fair that he's not in prison shunning. He's shunning somewhere in society. That's the creator is doing that maliciously, and I don't afford there is such a thing because the creator cried me so maliciously, and he was like, "Oh, you have a problem like this?" Charles Toh says when he saw me crying, he was like, pretty much ignoring me, just trying to go on as though it wasn't crying at all. And I was crying continuously all the time. And then when I told him I was crying once, he said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "You don't know what's wrong? You don't know why I'm crying?" And he just didn't know. And that's not fair that the creator is causing that problem is coming out here. And he elsewhere, Charles Toh, just doesn't know why Becky is crying. Rebecca is crying. I know, you don't know why. That's because Rebecca doesn't know why, but you're not supposed to don't know why, and you still look at me. No, I don't need you if I'm crying. What makes you think I need you? Menstruate the testicles of Charles Toh watching me crying right on the point. He doesn't know why I'm crying. He gets his testicles menstruated. Who's going to do that? How about Howard Chait? And if he doesn't agree with it, what's the punishment for that? Look how God doesn't have a problem with any of his problems. No, you want to cry me some more about you shouldn't have had sex with Howard? Let's get some more tension in the body about how sorry I am that I ever got involved in somebody else's problem like that. You don't have a problem between Howard Chait and Charles? Oh, not if I don't have a problem at all? That's true if he doesn't speak to me. Well, you're not allowed to speak to me. I thought we had that understanding. If you have testicles, don't talk to me. Talk to your testicles. That's about how much I can afford to say to you about myself. What happens if you talk to the testicles? You need to have them menstruated.